Hi guys. So I today I wanted to talk to you guys about my human trafficking experience. Um, Before I get into this, I really want to say that some of the things I have to say are going to be controversial, um, and they may offend. And I want to let you know that I do not apologize for how I feel or anything. If it offends you, then I ask that you please shut it down and then just don't come back to my channel. But I will not accept trolls being hateful. So, first of all, I want to say that human trafficking is something that people don't fully understand what it is. Okay. A lot of times people think that, oh, that's in another the country. It happens to foreigners. It doesn't happen here. It doesn't happen to me. I don't know anybody that's gone through that, right? And so, and it's primarily because a lot of people don't understand fully what it means and that it has a very broad connotation. I mean, like the definition is pretty broad. So human trafficking can be simply two people that are getting high or even maybe not. And the guy pushes his girlfriend even to sell herself or to pose nude or whatever for money. And he profits off of it. Okay. Whether or not that person profits, the young lady profits in any way, or man, and I need to stress that too. It happens in straight, gay, it happens in, bi situations. It doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is. It happens to people all over the world, everywhere. It happens to people of all ages. It happens to people of all races. Human trafficking and the trauma that comes with it is like COVID or any other pandemic that just is nameless, faceless, and doesn't care who it hurts. Okay. That the predator is, right? And the reason why I say nameless, faceless is because human trafficking comes with like a unwritten playbook, so to speak, right? That varies from person to person who chooses to be a predator in that way. Every predator has their own, way they do it. So let me take off my glasses because I hate that you can't see my eyes. Okay. So anyway, and don't judge my nails. Okay. We're not going there. We're not going to go there because I'll like veer. I'll go, squirrel. So I just wanted to say that like human trafficking can affect anybody. Ironically, for me, I never thought that I would have to say that I was a survivor of human trafficking. I thought I was too intelligent and too whatever. I just thought I was better, basically. It's the same mindset that I had when I endured domestic violence. And I will do a live on that at some point in time too, because I don't really add like with videos like everybody else does. I just go live, so whatever. So I just want to say, it's one of those things that people don't realize that what's going on a lot of times. It's a very insidious thing sometimes. Sometimes it's just outright, we kidnapped you, we took you to whatever country, or you're in the same country, and we're forcing you to do these things, right? It has such a wide possibility of wrecking people's lives in amazingly different ways. Mine was, I had relapsed, and this guy I knew introduced me to another guy. And I thought that, I knew he sold drugs, and I had in the past. And I thought maybe I could, partner up with him. I had been an escort in the past when I was a single mom, and my now 21-year-old was a little boy. I needed to put food on the table. I was homeless. I was literally staying with people. I had no idea who they were, but they allowed me and my son to stay in their home. Okay. It was that desperate. And this girl told me, well, if you're going to have sex for free, you might as well get paid for it. And I was like, well, okay, well, let's see. And then that's how it happened. And I was able to provide for my son in a really desperate time. And I don't regret it. my son was safe. We had a place to stay. Bills were paid. Food was on the table. And the only part I regret is what it's done to my soul. I don't regret doing whatever it took to be a mom. So, and that's another thing I really want to stress, that nobody wakes up and says, I just want to be a victim of human trafficking. I want to have a tragic life. I want to have a jacked up existence. You know, nobody does that, you know, whether or not, even if you are the perpetrator, right? Nobody grows up saying, I want to be a pimp. Like, so I want to speak to the humanity in people too, that no one is born into this world a monster. And very few people in this world are truly monsters. Everybody has something inside them that you could speak to. Now, the person I was dealing with was a pure narcissist. And that's tough. You know, like what's funny is that narcissism is common. And I don't think that people realize that, that there's so many narcissists in the world. I think the problem with dealing with narcissists is getting them to see beyond themselves and truly be empathetic for other people. But I do believe that there's hope for everybody, because I felt like I was a hopeless case and I'm not. God save me. So here's my story. Okay, we are already 6 minutes in, I'm sorry. So I had relapsed and I was staying with the person I believe is my son's father. And I had bought the drugs from his father, actually. And afterward, he found out and he proceeded to try to humiliate me. He was yelling outside about how I smoked crack. And even though, like, to be honest, methamphetamines is my drug of choice, and crack is secondary, I just wanted to stay awake so I could go to work. And I was working like 2 jobs back to back. I literally would go to one job and then have an hour or so in between, and I would go to another job, and then I would work that job, and then I would have literally 4 hours to get dressed and take care of my business to get to the other job again. And it was hard. It was really hard. I didn't get sleep. And for me, PTSD and depression is what I've been diagnosed with. So for me and my mental health, sleep, food are necessary. Okay. If I'm not sleeping and eating, I'm not healthy, and I will make unsafe and not really thought out decisions. No one functions well if they are not taking care of their body. Okay. So, but when you have mental health issues of any sort, not taking care of your body can aggravate those things. So, as I said, I relapsed and he humiliated me. So, and I still was having a hard time trying to stay awake and meet the responsibilities I had. And I was on parole and I didn't want to not like have a job because I would get in trouble, and I needed to get money so that I could get safe and have my own place. Like, it was just hard. And I was trying to work the best I could with what I had. And what I had was emotionally and mentally was not what I really needed. And I wasn't very mature emotionally, and I wasn't very mature mentally. And so I didn't make the best decisions. I also didn't know any better. I didn't know much more existed, for me at least. I thought that good things existed for other people. I thought that my life was one of those that you have to like just, you know, like settle and just hope that you can make it through, right? Because my whole life I had. So given that, I relapsed again. And this time I gave up. I didn't want to go back to where I was because I didn't want him to see me and be hateful again. And I just started roaming with the little purse I had. It was like I had nothing on me. I literally got my check and relapsed, and I had nothing on me. And I kept trying to find people so I could sell myself to continue to get high, because I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to face anything. And you know, drug use of any sort is utilized to numb something. You don't want to feel something. You don't want to remember something. You don't want to be present. And it's a way to detach from the reality that you can't endure. And so I was having a hard time because I wasn't okay with, I had been an escort. I had never like done street work. I had tried once and it freaked me out. There were just too many variables that were just not safe. Getting in somebody's car, lot lizards, which are girls that are at like the truck stops. I tried that once and that was just horrible. Again, anything can happen in somebody's truck. Okay. So, cause it's not like being in a car. Okay. They can murder you, and some people's trucks have showers. Okay. And they could get rid of all of the incidents pretty easily. So like, yeah. And, they drive off in the sunset. So it was scary for me. And so I never really did that. Plus, here's the deal. Like, I was not okay with, nickel and diamond. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't okay with slobbing on people's knobs for like 20 minutes or 15 minutes for a $20 bill. Like, hell no. Like, that wasn't, I was like, oh, hell no. Because I think I calculated and I'm like, oh, I mean, how much do I have to do to get $100? Like, I was just not okay with that. So that was probably the biggest thing. So at times I'm sort of thankful for my pride and for how much I can be like bougie in that way and be like, oh, fuck that. I'm not doing all that work. And so I'm thankful for that because it always pressed me to not do things that would have put me in really, really unsafe situations. And so I'm thankful for that. Anyway, so I was introduced to this guy. I thought, oh, I'll pull a couple tricks and I'll buy some dope from him and I'll sell dope and I'll flip it out. You know what I mean? And no. See, what happened was he boyfriended me in, and that means that basically the guy like tries to come on to you and tries to, he was they call him it's not the act is boyfriending in. That kind of pimp is called, I believe, a suave pimp is what they used to call it, like back in the days. The gorilla pimps will just beat the crap out of you all the time. You know what I mean? Suave pimps try to make you feel nice and try to make you think that they like you and they care and that they're there for you and all this other good stuff. They're not about smacking you around, no, but they do their best to be, to make you have an emotional attachment. See, here's the thing. Emotional attachments are harder to break than physical beating, right? So like fear can keep you there, but only for so long. Because you beat a dog, eventually they're going to bite back. But if you get in somebody's head, so he made me think that we were going to be dating and he liked me and you know what I mean? I'm thinking he had some girls that were doing street work and I'm thinking, oh, I'm better than them. I look better than them, blah, 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 blah. I'm smarter than them, blah, 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 blah. God. My pride was totally a double-edged sword. So I sat here and I kept trying to work. Eventually, I started making money, partially because he moved us out of a hotel that was off of Colfax here in Colorado. It's like Boulder Highway out in Vegas. Colfax is. It's just like it's a strip where girls walk, and there's a not a silent communication between girls and Johns in their car, and I don't understand it fully, but that's how they get their work. So anyway, I started working out of a hotel. I started making really good money, getting regular clientele, and yeah. So I remember a couple weeks in, if that, I had a kidney infection that was pretty bad, and I had a call with this guy, and I knew it was a 24-hour call, $2,000 job. I didn't even have sex with him. So like, it was like nothing, like it was cake. And I made 2 G's, turned it into him, and had to go to the emergency room because I was hurting that bad. So we went to the hospital. I was in there for like 3 days on IVs. to get, it cleared up. I'm thankful they gave me IV antibiotics because the script that they gave me to leave with, my pimp did not help me fill. So I'm really thankful that they helped me there, because otherwise it would have came back and it would have been really bad. But I found out at that point that I was pregnant. And I was super shocked and scared, and I couldn't figure out what to do. And it was so early in the pregnancy. I wouldn't know. It was like I was found out I was like around 2 weeks pregnant at the time, 2 weeks. So yeah, like I feel like that knowledge always being in the back of my head is what saved me. Knowing that my son, I didn't know he was my son, but knowing that this life is in me and I have to now deal with this. So, and now I'm feeling bad because I'm getting high, and now I'm feeling bad because I'm selling my body, and all of that. And then the fact that I know God, I knew I was saved, and I'm not doing what God wants me to do. And it was just all of it. It was like kicking my butt mentally. And that overpowered what he was trying to do, slowly but surely, along with parole. My parole officer, and I will always, always, always thank God for her. Her name was Officer Jessica. She's amazing, by the way. Officer Jessica, I love you. You're awesome. Thank you for saving my life. So she had went to the wrong address because something in the computer wasn't right, and she thought I was somewhere else. And she, thought I had basically like just ousted, and I hadn't. So she calls me to go to her office immediately. And typically that means your ass is going to jail. So I talked to her on the phone. I'm like, Jessica, am I going to jail? Like, let me know. She was like, no, Willessa, but you need to come in now. And I said, okay, well, I can't come in. I don't have any way to get there right now, but I can come in tomorrow. She said, okay. So I go in, and I have all kinds of dope in my system, and I'm terrified. And I told her I was getting high. I told her what was, going on-ish, that I was, trying to get it together. I didn't have a place to stay, blah, 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 blah. And so she put me on an ankle monitor. She chose not to take me to jail. She had every right to at that moment. She gave me a chance. The only thing I didn't tell her about was that, I was being pimped out. Like, I was trying to be really honest. I did tell her I was pregnant and I didn't know what to do and I didn't want to think about it. And she was like, hey, you're going to have to. And so then soon after, she made me go to the hospital. She said, you need to go to the hospital and get the baby checked out, and then you need to go to detox. And that was the beginning of me getting my head clear enough that I could get out. I went to a place out in Colorado Springs, Pueblo, actually. And, you could stay there for 3 months if you agreed to go to live in Pueblo. And out here in Colorado, Pueblo doesn't have any jobs. The buses stop at like 6. There's nothing but heroin and meth out there. There is no chance for anybody to survive. You know what I mean? Like, it's a horrible place. It's a horrible place. It's so small. And if you have any kind of record, you're not going to get a job. So I feel bad for anybody that messes up in Pueblo and is stuck there. You're stuck. You're stuck. You can't even move anywhere because you don't have enough money to move. It's horrible. So, I knew that wasn't going to work for me. I'm thinking to myself, well, how am I supposed to pick up my kid from daycare and work? Like, how is this going to work? And their housing doesn't accept felons at all. So good luck to you. So I was just like, I can't do it out here. It's not going to work. So plus they didn't ever like discipline the girls, and the girls were out of freaking control. And I came from prison. Like, that wasn't going to fly. And I was like, I can't with these girls. They're stupid. And you don't do anything about them. And if you can't teach people discipline, then you aren't going to be able to teach them shit else. So I was like, I can't do this. However, before I left, I set up going to Aspen Center out here in Denver, and like Wheat Ridge area. So I went to Aspen Center in Adams County, And that's part of Mile High Behavioral Health. Mile High Behavioral Health is an amazing program that helps people with, shout out to Mile High. And they have awesome programs for women that are pregnant, for women with children that have, addiction. They will take you and they will help you get your kids back and they will help you get your life together and they will pour themselves into you. But you need to face yourself. You need to do the hard work. So that was the beginning of me seeing the light. How I left is this. I went to the first rehab, and went back to my pimp. But this time I knew I had a plan to get out. I was on a waiting list, and I was just trying to get through until I could get in, And I remember I was back with him not even a month. It was a couple weeks, and it was popping hot still. And my parole officer called me in, had a meeting, and she tells me, she gives me a violation and says, you need to go to STIRT or ERT. You need to call and you need to go down to do a assessment so that you can get on the list. And I knew that if I went to STIRT or ERT, it would get in the way of me going to Aspen Center. And, I know that they take pregnant women, but both of the programs are very hard programs. And they're not kind to you at all. And it is not a conducive environment for someone who's pregnant. I don't believe in those programs very much anyway, because unless you have a support system, it's not a good place for you. Halfway houses out here are really, a lot of them are set up just to make you fail. They want you to go back because if you go back, they get to keep all that money that you have, that they make you put aside for savings. They get to keep all of it. So you pay them rent and then you put money aside for savings, quote unquote. And if you go to jail, they get to keep all of it. And it's in a contract. So you're a slave, basically. You get only so much a week. And it's such a small little chunk. And you have to justify all of your spending. As a Christian, I tithe. So, and they won't let you tithe. They don't respect Christian rights to tithe. It's even though it's in my part of my religion. They don't care. They have no care or concern about that. And I just knew that was not going to work. It was going to fail, and it was going to get in the way of something that I knew was going to be good. And so I called Aspen Center and I told them, I was like, she's going to make me go, and I don't know what to do. And they said, well, you can come in. We're going to find a bed for you. So they said I needed to call them in a week, and I did. And I was able to get a bed for a couple days later. But all the while I'm still with my pimp, right? And I'm leaving and I'm coming back, and I'm leaving and I'm coming back, because I leave and I can't, provide for myself because he has all my money or my stuff or whatever. And I can't get enough money together quickly enough to take care of myself, right? It was just sucky. And then also the mental, hurt and stuff that I was dealing with that drew me back. I remember I was in a really shit hotel called the Knights Inn. It's a horrible hotel. And they were doing renovations. I was in one of their crap rooms that hadn't been renovated, even though all of their rooms are crap because it is like a dope house, basically. It's horrible. It's a nice looking dope house. And so my pimp always insisted that I get 2 cards for the room and that I give him one of them. Well, I gave him one of the cards, and what I knew I had to do, because he would come and check in all the time, I knew I had to, I remember I made money and he hadn't come by. So I just paid rent for a couple days. And I told him, I said, I paid the rent for a couple days. He said, how could you're spending money and you didn't even tell me, blah, blah, blah. But he hadn't checked in. So how am I not gonna, you know what I'm saying, have a room so I can continue to make money? Whatever. But he wanted to constantly shame me and make me feel bad and beat on me. And because it went from being kind and I care about you to let me beat the crap out of you and make you feel like crap. And so, and a lot of emotional abuse, some physical, but a lot of emotional abuse. And so I remember he hit me in the room, and I decided right then, the moment I was able to get a room the moment he didn't check in, I was going to change rooms. So what I did was I changed rooms from that room to another room, and I had the keys. He couldn't get in now. It was in my name alone. So he could know where the hell I was at, but I wasn't going to let him in. And I thought to myself, go ahead. And, like he had to sell dope. He had to keep track of his other girls that weren't there. Right. So I knew that he couldn't just sit there and stalk forever, especially when his transportation situation was having problems, because some girl had that car and kept taking it back from him because she was pissed off because she found out that he wasn't just hers too. Right. So the house of cards was falling around him, and I knew it, and I was just so happy to see it. And so I remember he had a scope for a gun in the car, and I took that and I sold it. And yeah, and I threw everything else that was in there out because he had the stuff in the car. He gave it to me, right? Some of it, and I took it out and I threw it all away. And I made money enough to be able to survive for a couple days until I got through to go to the rehab. And I remember getting really, really high. I probably could have killed myself. I shot up so much that I was flailing like a fish on the bed. I couldn't control my body. Barely. I had to take a lot of mental energy to try to. And I remember just like flailing around like a fish. I was still in my body. I was high, so high. And then I passed out. And I passed out so long, I missed my window for going to the rehab. So I was freaking out when I called them, and I was like, I'm so sorry. And they said, okay, well, you can come in tomorrow, but that's it. And I did. I stayed clean. No, I didn't. I got high, but I didn't get as high. And I tried to hold on to some money, pay the room again. I wanted to hold on to more money than that because I knew I smoked cigarettes and stuff, and I didn't, want to be broke. Well, I was able to pay the room, and I was able to go to the rehab with some money in my pocket, and I was able to pay for a taxi from Aurora all the way to Adams County, which was like forever. It was like a $50 taxi ride, and the schmuck didn't even have enough decency to help me with my bags. Okay, it was just a complete dick. And so, yeah, I was really angry about that too. But when I came in, I was so high, it was ridiculous. I was having a hard time focusing on the questions. I was getting really tired. And yeah, I remember staying asleep for days. It took me a second to bounce back. And I remember being really afraid that he was going to find me because I didn't know it was going to happen. And I knew I only had a little bit more time to decide if I was going to be a mom or not. And I'm a Christian, so, and I've done an abortion before, and even before I was saved, and I can't do it. And I didn't feel like I could do another adoption because I've had to do that before too. Adoptions are hard. You hold this little life in your body, and all the dreams that you have, you realize you aren't that person that gets to do that with them. And but I just knew I needed to make a decision, and I needed to be clean and clear-minded to make that decision. I didn't want to regret it. I wanted to be me when I made it. And I started therapy. The therapy was intense, and I realized how much my pimp had a hold of my brain. I had like a case of basically like Stockholm syndrome. can I let everybody know I'm 41 years old today. I escaped about 2.5 years ago. Okay. So I escaped 2.5 years ago. And I remember, I remember sitting here and being in therapy and trying to figure out what I was going to do. Like being a single mom, I knew it was going to be hard. I'm scared. I'm scared that I didn't have it in me. It was really hard. So I remember having a real hard time letting people get close. I still do. So yeah, that was my journey. Eventually I left the rehab and was able to get into a discipleship program called Esther House. Shout out Esther House. It's part of Open Door Ministries. Truth is, I don't like Open Door Ministries. I think that there's a racism issue in the ministry. Any of the other houses are not, don't have a lot of Black people or Spanish people in them. I was kicked out for a Treasure House, not Esther House. Same program, same ministry, but another house, because they made me go to that house after I had the baby. And I remember they kicked me out because I was complaining that I was the only one being made to follow the rules. So I was the only one cleaning. I was like their house nigga, okay? And I'm not your freaking slave. And so I was complaining that I was the only one being made to follow the rules. And I was paying the max rent and they weren't. And so they kicked me out because they said I was unhappy. Swear to God, those words, unhappy. And I'm glad they did, because right after that, everything got really good. So I knew God had a favor for me. Like I felt like God was telling me, kiddo, you're still on the right track. You're doing good. And today I am a single mom to a beautiful little boy who is a handful. I live in public housing. I'm a full-time student. I have a 3 I think it's like 5 or 4 something GPA. I have a cat and I have a dog, and I'm almost at my associates for machining, CNC machining, and I'm starting a new program of electrical engineering. Wish me luck. My goal is I want to build prosthetics that are amazing, that look good, and I want to partner with artists and make really cool pieces that people want to wear and that people anywhere can afford, that are not so like ridiculously priced that no one can get them. I want to have a nonprofit that hires felons and teaches them to do what I've had to pay to learn to do, and gives them skills that they can build on for the rest of their life, that offers housing and childcare on site, and shows the world that you can give back and still make kick-ass money. That's my goal. It's my calling. I believe it's what God called me to do. And it's what I want. So in closing, I want to say to those victims out there that are dealing with this right now, no, you know what? I'm going to stop this and I'm going to separate that. Okay? Because I feel like that's really important to stand on its own. And I also will do another one for what I have to say to people that are predators. So I want to tell everybody, God bless you. And I want to encourage people to know they're made for so much better. There's so much better out there for each of us. We just have to take hold and fight for it. God bless you.